Right, hello everybody, just zero foreplay in this video. Okay, number of assists across Europe in the last 2 seasons. Number 1, you've got Mohamed Salah with 37. Number 2, you've got Florian Wirtz with 33. And because Wirtz has actually played less games across that time than Salah, his assists per game ratio is actually better. And as of right now, both of them play for Liverpool. Oh dear. Yeah, so just to set my stall out very early here, hello, Adam Clery, the Adam Clery Football Channel, welcome. This is a simply monumental transfer. It is the best club in the country going out and getting the best young player in Europe who is realistically available this summer. It is basically Wayne Rooney going to Manchester United, or for the hipsters amongst you, Mario Götze going to Bayern Munich. The kid is only 22 years old, but has already demonstrated an ability to run entire games of football from back to front. He makes things happen in every single area of the pitch, and he is already undeniably elite in terms of both chance creation and finishing. I'm going to try and not get too carried away in this video, but also I will be getting carried away. He's a phenomenal player. But what makes him so good? That's probably why you're here. Well, let's have a look at Bayer Leverkusen from last season. You will see he is featured as the left-sided number 10 in Alonso's extremely fun 3-4-2-1 thingy. You look at his total combined heat map from last season, you'll see that, yep, that's where he lives in this left-hand channel. It's where he does his work, but he also roams across the entire width of the pitch, looking to get involved, and is not shy about dropping a lot deeper to help with the build-up and do things in the midfield as well. And on top of all of that, he also gets himself into the box. But it is this starting position of like left inside number 10. Really the name for these things now, but anyway, this starting position is what allows him personally to thrive in this system. He can hug the touchline, he can take players on in wide areas, or he can attack from there directly into the box. He links up really nicely with alexander-arnold, who plays the left wing-back role for Leverkusen, and will quite often play him into the space that he's vacated after tying up his mark. It's just absolute classic sort of wide playmaker stuff. But the thing, and in this video there will be many of these things, that makes Wirtz such a special player is that his footwork, his ability technically with his feet is so good that he can do that exact same stuff that players look for space for in wide areas, right in the congested middle. He will take it with his back to goal, he will turn, he will beat players, he will find a through ball. He's so nice to watch and just a throwback to classic number 10s that you so rarely see these days. Rui Costa, Pablo Aimar, Riquelme, dare I say it? And yes I do, but there is more than a bit of the Beardsleys about him. Like, just watch him in this bit here. The balance, the time he seems to create, the space he generates is one of the most consistently watchable players around at the minute, and he's already got the sort of statistical numbers that when you see players doing this stuff, you just sort of hope they're going to add later on. He's already got it. It's worth pointing out, actually, even at this early juncture, the thing that enables him to do most of the stuff he does is this natural two-footedness he's got. He's probably the most naturally gifted two-footed player I think I can ever remember seeing, and it makes him a nightmare to mark as a result, because you simply cannot predict which way he's going to shift his weight, which foot he's going to want to play it with, and he just kills you. And you combine that with just how good his technique is, and his numbers are incredible. Like, over the last year in the top 5 leagues, he's taking people on 5 to 6 times a game, often more. Aha, but the first point of balance here, before I just fully take my trousers off for the rest of this video, you will note that while he is in the top 3 or 4% for the number of take-ons attempted, that drops down to only the top 20% for the take-ons completed. And that highlights the one glaring weakness in his game currently, his strength. Despite being an alleged 5'10", and I say alleged because I believe football is talking about their height almost as little as I believe pro wrestlers, he has yet to really fill out his frame. The one way defenders do tend to stop him currently is just by out-muscling him, but again, He is 22. I think that's probably okay at this stage of his career, and you will likely see him bulk up a bit more in the coming years, which, given what he's already doing, is another scary, scary proposition. Anyway, though, back to this already frankly ridiculous graph, and it also contains quite possibly the maddest single thing about Florian Wirtz already. The number of touches he is averaging per game. Now, you remember the assist thing we opened the video with, like top 5 leagues in Europe, every single player, total number of assists. Let's do that again, right, but for touches. And you will notice his 78 touches, well, first off, it jumps up to slightly over 80 because that 78's from 1 year and this is the average over 2 years. So well done him, right? Average number of touches per game, top 5 leagues in Europe, every single player, he ranks 98th. Which is admittedly, it's not very exciting, right? Like 98, okay, whatever. But just thinking about it now, defenders get a lot of just random touches, don't they? They'll work it around the back without really sort of doing anything. So if we're talking about impact here, we can probably discount all the goalies and the defenders, right? So we filter them out, and that puts him 40th. And I mean, yeah, again, like that's still obviously really good because there's thousands upon thousands of players in Europe, but 40th isn't really getting the blood pumping, is it? But thing is, have you seen the 39 players who are ahead of him? Rodri, Kimmich, Toni Kroos, Granit Xhaka, Vitinha, Modric, Pedri, De Jong, Goretzka. Not one of those 39 players above him is by any stretch of the imagination an attacker. They're almost exclusively number 6s or playing in a pivot, seeing the ball repeatedly in areas where they're not really likely to be consistently pressured. And then, 40th or otherwise, there is Florian Wirtz, a left-sided number 10, playing in the pocket in front of the defence, going out on the left wing. The second highest number of assists to his name in all of Europe, just posting the same sort of involvement numbers as your tempo-setting, possession-retaining number 6s. And don't get me wrong, the world's number 10s are on this list. De Bruyne's all the way down in 202nd, Martin Ødegaard is 408th, Mo Salah is 1,697th. And what that means is in Florian Wirtz, what you're looking at is a completely unique profile of player, like with enough up here that he can go anywhere on the pitch and dictate the game, no matter what phase it's in. But with the feet, the quickness and the skill of just some made-up Brazilian footballer from the 1990s. So yeah, virtually no players in all of Europe touch the ball in the attacking third more than he does, because obviously that's exactly where he plays. But he's also in the top 6-7% for touches in the middle third as well, because when the game isn't here, it's usually here. So that's where he goes. And Liverpool, as daft as this is going to sound, because they literally play on complete opposite sides of the pitch, are not replacing Trent Alexander-Arnold with Frimpong, because he's too different a player. They are replacing him, that's English, with Wirtz. Because Liverpool aren't just losing a right back with this transfer, they're losing their best passer, they're losing their best creator, they're losing their best tempo setter, and that player now, undeniably, will be Wirtz. And actually, if you look at the numbers side by side from last season, key passes or chances created per 90, Wirtz is outperforming him. I know the bars are slightly confusing here, because I'm going to say Wirtz is better even though it's smaller, but that's because his are compared to attackers and Alexander-Arnold's are being compared to defenders. They're not like for like. So just look at the number. There's just the numbers what we want. He's got more key passes, slightly better expected assists, slightly more passes into the penalty area, and you can also just completely discount, by the way, passes into the final third, because Alexander-Arnold is a defender and Wirtz lives in the final third, so of course he won't be doing that. That's not a fair comparison, in my opinion. That's why it's so completely different. And don't get me wrong, for all I really rate both Frimpong and Connor Bradley, they do offer you something completely different to Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is another way of saying they don't replicate what he did. Liverpool were going to have a major creativity shortfall in Alexander-Arnold's absence, unless they made a signing like this. And yeah, haha, not a bad one. But the question is, where do you play him? Because as discussed, he absolutely thrives in this sort of inside left number 10 role. And if I may just wave my magic wand for a second, you will note that Liverpool do not have one. So presuming, I'm going to put this down, so presuming they're not going to switch to a back three purely to accommodate, in which, whisper this, I actually think maybe they should consider, because if you're looking to protect the legs and the minutes of the ageing Salah and Van Dijk, then putting them in that kind of shape where much younger players could do their running for them, I think that would be quite good, but let's assume they're not doing that. In their current shape, this 4-3-3, which, yeah, let's be real, quite often feels like a 4-2-3-1, but I'll just move it back. I think that problem with his strength currently rules him out of playing in this sort of left-sided number 8 position. Plus, let's be real, you're not going to ditch Alexis McAllister. He's had an absolutely fantastic season and he's vital to how Liverpool's overall structure works. So he's not going to play there. So the obvious solution is to use him out on this left-hand side with the understanding that because McAllister will tuck a little bit and it'll look a bit more like this, he's sort of free to drift into the channel he likes. And if you go out and spend maybe a little bit more money on someone who can play this entire side on their own, then all of a sudden the expectation that he does the width goes away as well. So he's basically playing this left-sided number 10 position without playing this left-sided number 10 position. But then, and I'm sorry, I need this for a second, but then, and just hear me out on this one, if the expectation then becomes you do so much of your creating down this side, well, you still got the only player in Europe out assisting him on the other. So it sort of feels like there's a slight imbalance there, because that effectively forces Salah to become the Gakpo of this system. The expectation will be that he constantly drifts from this wide position into the box, and he's got to challenge aerially, he's got to get on the end of things, and again, he's a fantastic creator. But I think, if we may just reset for a second, I've already done it, never mind, that there is a secret third option. I think you can play Florian Wirtz up front for Liverpool, with the expectation being that Gakpo and Salah both want to arrive into the box. Gakpo wants to do it without the ball, Salah wants to do it with the ball, and his job is to get out of there and feed them both. And Liverpool fans, you will not need reminding that you used to be amazing at this when you had Roberto Firmino up front, and now by adding, let's say, a Kirkez to a Frimpong or a Bradley, you've got two athletes who can do all the width for you down that side, while Verge comes out of that central position, gets involved in this area he loves to be in, and there's 4 options in front of him for how to make things happen. Now maybe that's not necessarily the greatest use for him, because you'd have to drop a whole long way back to get involved in earlier phases of play, and maybe in some games that could be a bit of a waste for him, but I think in certain matches against certain opponents, he would very quietly, not very quietly, very loudly, be a revelation doing this. Plus, and I've got one more secret bit of praise to heap upon him for the end of the video, having him lead your line also gives you access to all of this. That is every single high turnover that Florian Wirtz managed in the last 2 years. Oh God, sorry, did I not mention that? Yeah, despite his lack of strength, he does have that dog in him. But Leverkusen aren't a massive high-pressing team, so his numbers don't leap off the page when you look at them. But when you watch him, he closes down really well. He does it very aggressively. He does it in a very structured way. He doesn't just go charging all over the place. And like everything else, you'll see, he does sort of favour doing it with this left 10 flavour. But will also, obviously, chase you all the way across the goddamn pitch if he feels he's got to. I love him. So to review, and I'm going to use this again, is he worth the 100+ million that Liverpool are going to pay for him? Well, there is no such thing as a sure thing in football, but given who he is, what he does, where he is going, what they do, and who he's doing it with, I would say this is about as close to a 100+ million pound sure thing as you will ever see. In fact, I'm just going to say it, the only way I can see this transfer failing is if he absolutely despises the Beatles or turns out to be deathly allergic to a pot of scouse. He's going in me, FPL team immediately. But yeah, I'm going to put that away now because it makes me just get too intense. For some reason, that's Florian Wirtz and why I think is going to be a massive success at Liverpool. What an exciting transfer. We haven't had one of these in a very long time. If you've enjoyed the video, Liverpool fans, if you too are rubbing your knees raw at the thought of this, please let us know in the comments below. Just, I don't know, How many goals is he going to score? How many millions of assists is he going to get? All thoughts, feelings, comments, everything else, absolutely welcome. Down below, you can get me across all the social medias. I forget what side it appears on, at Adam Clery, Clery. I am dearly hoping that by the time this goes out, we have crossed the magic 100,000 subscriber threshold. But if not, if we haven't, Liverpool, you could be the ones who do that. That's something else you can win in football. You can make me get the 100,000 subs. Wouldn't that be nice for you? Wouldn't that just be something you'd love to brag about? Yes, it would. So please do click the button down below. I am overstimulated thinking about this player. I'm going to go away and home in that order. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen.